Real fake, real fake, real fake, real fake news.
Welcome to the Real Fake News. I'm your host, Jesse Bertel. In this show, I use the terms real news and fake news sarcastically. So, real news refers to corporate news spinning and creating a counter-narrative, and fake news uses independent media to reveal a more accurate narrative based in the truth that is left out of coverage by major news networks. All right, now that we understand the rules, let's play the game. In real news, conservatives hate safe spaces so much that they turned their media into a safe space for Trump's feelings. According to Fox News, a credible news organization, Johnny Depp and Kathy Griffin are both threats to national security.
Kathy Griffin facing major blowback for posting in a photo shoot with a mock decapitated head that resembles President Trump. Now, people on both sides of the political aisle condemning the image, with some even saying it's reminiscent of ISIS propaganda.
And yesterday, another liberal celebrity incapable of regulating his mouth went there suggesting a presidential assassination is in order.
I think he needs help. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? I want to clarify, I'm not an actor. I lie for a living.
Entertainers have a disturbing fixation with assassination fantasies each time a Republican is president. There's never a humorous death threat, but I think this is why you see Americans are supporting Trump, and they love Trump because they see what a brave man he is to subject his family to this kind of treatment in trying to do what's right for our country.
Trump is so brave. Oh, wait, you're being serious? You're being serious. Oh, let's play again. In fake news, E.T. released an interview of Jim Carrey responding to the violence from comedians.
And should people forgive her?
I'd see that everybody's a hypocrite because everybody's imagined themselves standing there with his head. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe at least half the country. You know, we're in a tough spot. It's a very, very divided world, and those on I guess you'd call it the left side. I just call it the sensible side. Is, you know, we're sitting there watching this nonsense happen, and people like Sean Spicer come out and talk about it like we're kindergartners, you know, and covering for this president is like putting makeup on a melanoma. You know, not only unsightly, but it's dangerous.
As a comedian, when do you feel like you know that you've crossed that line?
I think it is the job of a comedian to cross the line at all times, because you know, that line is not real. And if you step out into that spotlight and you're doing the crazy things that he's doing, you know, we're the last line of defense, and really the comedians are the last voice of truth in this whole thing, you know. And you know, it's impossible to get away from it. You know, I had a dream the other night about that I was playing golf with Donald Trump, and I was standing beside him with a club in my hand, and I was, you know, considering my options when I suddenly woke up. You know, it was one of those dreams where you want to just get back to sleep so you can finish it, you know? Yeah. But I've taken up golf anyway.
Comedians, what do they know? Uh-oh, did Jim Carrey just threaten to kill Trump? Let's play again. In real news, conservative media outlets have lost their criticisms of the president now that they have Trump in the White House.
If this had been said in reverse about Barack Obama, I think the response would have been a little different.
Donald Trump Jr. defended his dad, writing, "Disgusting but not surprising. This is the left today. They consider this acceptable. Imagine a conservative did this to Obama as president."
Yes, let's imagine a conservative threatening to kill Obama. I'm sure it'd be impossible to find such distasteful rhetoric coming from conservatives. I doubt there's a video of something like that. Roll the clip.
Hang the line, Canyon traitor! We got a rope.
Who's going to shoot Obama? Brown's press office confirmed that was the question, and the one that got the big laugh. By the way, 2 witnesses say Congressman Brown also laughed.
Last night, you sent out a tweet, and let's take a look at it. It says, 3 Dallas cops killed, 7 wounded. This is now war. Watch out, Obama. Watch out, Black Lives Matter punks. Real America is coming after you. It has since been deleted. Why did you do that?
He said, Gorilla Face Michelle can't disagree with that, referring to something they were discussing. That seems pretty offensive. He's going to follow that up with, the woman is not attractive except to Monkey Man Barack. Check out them ears, LOL. What's his excuse? He says, oh, this was just playful back and forth banter that my friends and I do. And you're not a comedian. This isn't, a stand-up routine. This isn't a movie. You're a mayor, and you're like, ha ha ha, black people, gorillas, ha. There were at least 75 posts and reposts, including an image that suggests both the president and his wife should hang for treason.
And this isn't just from fringe Republican voters or the occasional rare breed of conservative entertainers, but from politicians. Conservatives are clearly more violent. Even their economic policies are violent. Take trickle-down economics. Trickle-down is a policy which basically amounts to a rich white guy standing on the balcony of Trump Tower penthouse suite and pissing on the homeless people below. Trickle down. So Kathy Griffin gets fired for a bad photo shoot, and both her and Johnny Depp apologize. But you won't find public apologies from any of these conservatives who use this kind of rhetoric as their political platform.
He is a Republican candidate named Joshua Black, and tonight he is standing by the tweet.
And as you said, John, he is standing behind his hang the president tweet.
Somebody who thinks that women shouldn't be allowed to vote is running for delegate here in Prince William, and he thinks that he has a shot.
His name was front and center when he emailed the Secret Service saying he would kill President Obama. A judge sentenced him to 16 months, and now Nathan Larson is out. He says it was all an act of civil disobedience, and now he wants to run for delegate.
Conservative commentators treat these assassination threats from Republican politicians and candidates rather lightly compared to how they use rhetoric from entertainers as a launching point for very real character assassinations.
Long time, he's just become a shriveled little pile of walking hippie scarves with a hat attached to it. But again, I don't think that, right, I mean, he's a pathetic drunk. He's accused of abusing his wife. He doesn't have any money, and he's going to get up there and be like, yeah, president, yeah, my hat. Like, cool, bro, what are you doing? Get over it. But again, I don't think it's fair to call it a call to assassinate the president. I don't think anybody was going to watch that and thought he was being serious. Again, though, given what we've been seeing, incredibly irresponsible. I wouldn't say illegal.
It's definitely not illegal. At least not yet. So here they fully admit that no one takes political rhetoric from entertainers as a call to action. But that doesn't stop them from reporting on it like it was a real threat. Now, conservative commentators may have found the example they've been looking for to enforce this narrative of how progressives are the real violent ones in the form of a lone gunman who shot at GOP representatives playing baseball. I should mention that no one died except the gunman, who wounded a few people and shot one representative in the butt cheek.
A barrage of gunfire at a baseball field right outside Washington, D.C., as Republican members of Congress practiced for their annual game against the Democrats.
Well, even worse, I think, than some of these artists, who I don't think people take much political advice from, is the political rhetoric that's coming from politicians or Democratic leaders. It is important for people to be able to disagree and do so civilly, particularly just 1 week after we saw what happened when people are unable to handle their disagreements civilly and they actually try to commit a mass assassination of Republicans.
Big surprise. Fox News anchors are blaming Democratic leaders? But it's not just conservative news like Fox pushing this narrative. According to the so-called liberal journalists at the New York Times, attack tests movement Sanders founded. No, it doesn't. Sanders immediately denounced the attacker.
I am sickened by this despicable act, and let me be as clear as I can be. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society, and I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms.
The New York Times article goes on to say, long before the shooting on Wednesday, some of Mr. Sanders' supporters had earned a belligerent reputation for their criticism of Hillary Clinton, the Democratic Party, and others who they believed disagreed with their ideas. Sanders fans, sometimes referred to derogatorily as Bernie Bros or Bernie Bots, at times harassed reporters covering Mr. Sanders and flooded social media with angry posts directed at the corporate media, a term often used by the senator. The suspect in the shooting in Virginia put a new spotlight on the rage buried in some corners of the progressive left. I thought blaming liberals was supposed to be the conservative thing. Never mind the violent tendencies of conservatives.
What police suspect may be a possible hate crime. Police say this man verbally attacked a Muslim woman on a train, and that when Good Samaritans came forward to help, he stabbed them to death.
Death to the enemies of America. Leave this country if you hate our freedom. Death to Antifa.
The verdict coming in late today in Charleston. A jury deciding the death penalty for Dylan Roof, who walked into that church and then shot and killed 9 parishioners who had invited him to pray with them.
What did you see happen? A guy stabbed another guy with a Confederate flag, and people started rushing at him, throwing beer bottles at the truck.
The Klan member used a flagpole to stab a counter-protester.
Next tonight here to the sentencing for 2 defendants convicted of terrorizing a birthday party for an 8-year-old. Authorities say they were part of a group waving Confederate flags, shouting threats and racial slurs.
Video shot by WLKY has now gone viral. It shows Trump supporters pushing a woman out of yesterday's rally in Louisville. You can see several people inside the Kentucky International Convention Center shoving the protester until she left.
Get him the hell out of here. Get him out of here. Get out. Get him out of here.
Yeah, progressives are the violent ones. You won't find a liberal equivalent of Dylan Roof. Now, I'm not saying all conservatives are violent, but let's be honest. These people are the heart of the conservative base. Obviously, Trump didn't create the violent tendencies of conservatives, but he definitely represents and enables that anger. A lot of people are angry on both sides because they feel backed into a corner by corporate elites who've taken over the country. Let's play again. In fake news, Ralph Nader thinks we should work toward common goals to tackle the corporate state.
Obviously, if they can split left-right opinion and put the left-right to focus on where they do disagree, like reproductive rights or gun control, they control the scene. And they keep the left and right from moving on where they do agree. And where they do agree would take power away from the corporate brokers, and it would get a lot of things done in this country. Look at where they agree. 80%, almost 80% comes in for a higher minimum wage. That's a lot of conservative workers in Walmart and other places. Right. 90% want to break up the big banks because they're too big to fail and they're risking another crash out of New York and Wall Street. A large majority want tough crackdown on corporate crime. They see it. They get ripped off as consumers. They get thrown aside as workers, and they get cheated as taxpayers. Here's the big one. Right, left against corporate welfare and what the right wing calls crony capitalism. That is really a powerful one. Right. And we want to revise the trade agreements, NAFTA and WTO. The right says it shreds our sovereignty. The left says it steals our jobs and ships them overboard. So once the two, once the two come together, it's unbeatable.
It's like the ancient Chinese proverb says. It's only when a mosquito lands on your testicles that you realize there's always a way to solve things without violence. What's that? I'm being told that memes aren't factual. And now, here's an exclusive clip from my new documentary film, Bernie and Me, where we talk to some of these so-called Bernie bros to see who they really are. Many of the major news networks were insistent on pushing a negative narrative about Bernie Sanders and his supporters.
You may have heard the term Bernie bro this election season, typically young, white, and male. Bernie bros have been accused of online trolling, misogyny, and outright bigotry.
So the next day, I met up with my real fake news reporter, Catherine Grant, to find out if there was any truth to the narrative.
What's your name? Lauren. And what's your name?
Sean.
And you?
Pablo.
Pablo, nice to meet you. And are you here for the DNC or are you a Philadelphia resident?
It's good.
Hi there. What's your name?
Aris from Ethiopia.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Are you here for the DNC?
I don't know all about it. I don't know for what. I don't know the case, the reason what's going on here. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you again.
Okay, so are you here for the DNC? No, I work here. And who are you supporting? I'm a Bernie bro.
I would consider myself a Bernie bro, yes.
We are both Bernie bros.
I'm a Bernie bro, and I'm over 65.
I'm a Bernie bro. I'm a Bernie bro too.
I'm a Bernie bro.
I'm a Bernie bro.
Yeah, we're Bernie bros.
Yes, we're Bernie bros.
Yeah, bro, I'm totally a Bernie bro.
So, who do you support in this election?
Oh man, I feel the burn. I feel the burn.
I went to the doctor after I felt the burn.
I can't stand Donald Trump, but I'm disappointed in Hillary beyond belief.
Everybody have a choice, that's a good thing about America. Everyone has their own choice, and mine is.
So,
We don't want this guy to be in office, anybody except this guy.
All the ripples they travel through very elements.
Let's play again. In real news, ever since Trump was elected president, major news outlets have been looking for someone to blame. It's progressives' fault. According to Fox Business, Shattered author, Sanders voters cost Clinton the election. No, it's black people's fault. According to Slate, low black turnout may have cost Clinton the election. No, it's Obama's fault. According to the Seattle Times, Obama turned Trump voters cost Clinton the election. No, it's fake news. According to The Guardian, click and elect. How fake news helped Donald Trump win a real election. Snopes even came up with this, a field guide to fake news sites and hoax purveyors. And many other outlets have come up with similar lists of fake news sites, but the lists don't include Fox News, CNN, or the Washington Post, who are all easy examples of major news networks that often misreport news and information, as I reported in many of my previous episodes during the primaries.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are
is
attacking
terrible.
our news organization.
Your organization
Can you give
is
us a
terrible.
chance
Let's
to
go.
ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can
Quiet.
you state,
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question.
Mr.
Don't be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No,
give
I'm
us
not
a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
Go ahead.
can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not
Go ahead.
appropriate.
Oof, it's not looking good for the real fake news. But what exactly defines fake news? Where do we draw the line? It's not enough just to make a blacklist of fake news sites. We really need to have this discussion properly with a clear set of guidelines for what defines a news story versus a fake, commercial, or propaganda piece, which could all have a basis in truth. And somehow, within this context, we need to differentiate independent news media from conspiracy theories and extreme right-wing news media like Alex Jones and Breitbart, which twist alternative media narratives into paranoid delusions.
What do I do, Lord? Destroy the child.
Yikes. Quick, blame Russia for leaking the truth about DNC corruption.
What is it that Vladimir Putin wants?
Trump and Putin versus U.S. intelligence agencies.
Has Putin now put a poodle in the White House?
Russian government hackers had broken into the Democratic Party's computer servers.
Russians.
Russian attack.
Russia.
According to Time, Russia used fake news and propaganda to undermine the U.S. election, FBI says.
But this coalition was to be torn asunder. Already an iron curtain had dropped around Poland, Hungary, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria.
Ah, but this is Europe, you say. But let's see what can happen elsewhere in, say, the small town of Mosinee, Wisconsin. Peaceful, isn't it? But the red truncheon falls and the chief of police is hustled off to jail. Next, public utilities are seized by fifth colonists. Watch carefully what happens to an editor who operates under a free press. He goes to jail, too, and his newspaper is confiscated. Exit freedom of thought. Yes, this is life under the Soviet form of government. The little town of Mosinee made this experiment for 24 hours, a public service to all America. It can't happen here? Well, this is what it looks like if it should.
The Red Scare worked in the 50s, and I'm sure we'd all love to go back to the Cold War and McCarthyism with all that sweet spying and selling out your friends and neighbors. But before we do, let's play again. In fake news, Noam Chomsky calls the Russia scare a joke.
It's a pretty remarkable fact that, first of all, it is a joke. Half of the world is cracking up in laughter. The United States doesn't just interfere in elections, it overthrows governments it doesn't like, institutes military dictatorships. Simply in the case of Russia alone, it's the least of it. The U.S. government under Clinton intervened quite blatantly and openly. They didn't try to conceal it to get their man Yeltsin in all sorts of ways. So, yeah, maybe the Russians tried to interfere in the election. It's not a major issue. Maybe the people on the Trump campaign were talking to the Russians. Well, okay, not a major point, certainly less than is being done constantly. And it is a kind of a paradox, I think, that the one issue that seems to inflame the Democratic opposition is the one thing that has some justification and reasonable aspects to it.
And here's something you won't see in the real news. According to Counterpunch, it wasn't the Russians. Hillary lost because she blew off Sanders and his voters. Yeah, I can agree with that. Major corporate-owned news organizations such as CNN, the New York Times, and Washington Post all appear to be competing with each other to become the neoliberal Fox News, a less conservative, obstructionist, fear-mongering media. Apparently, this is their only solution to the power vacuum that Fox News has created with a profit-motivated infotainment model of information, where the entertainment is based on feeding our natural addiction to anger. And now, let's check in with our real-fake meteorologist, Hector Zamora, with the real-fake weather.
Thanks, Jesse. It's really hot in here. I'm sweating. And it's really hot outside, too. Last week, Arizona grounded over 50 flights due to extreme heat conditions. And it's only the beginning of summer. Don't worry. Global warming is a hoax manufactured by the liberal media to raise taxes.
How do you figure that?
I got proof. If you clearly look at this map, you can clearly see that last December it got so cold that it even snowed in parts of New Mexico and Texas.
That's called winter.
Exactly. So what liberals are calling man-made climate change is really a phenomenon called seasons.
Seasons? Seasons?
That's right. I did some research and I found seasons change every few months.
Okay, but how do you explain rising heat records each year, glacial melting, rising sea levels, and as you mentioned, snowfall in the south where historically it never snowed?
Seasons.
Seasons?
Seasons change.
Okay. Real fake meteorologist Hector Zamora. Let's play again. In real news, NASA is now hiring proctologist astronauts. According to Yahoo.com, NASA wants to probe Uranus in search of gas. Hey, that's real news. Let's play again. In fake news, according to the Daily Mail, Buzz Aldrin gives Trump a baffled look as the president gives credit to space and not scientists.
I'd like to extend a special welcome to an American hero who I've known actually for a long time, Buzz Aldrin, who is with us today.
Buzz? Where'd he go? Are you Buzz? I thought you were Buzz. Are you Buzz?
Known him a long time. Security is going to be a very big factor with respect to space and space exploration. At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space?
His face says what everyone with common sense is thinking every time Trump speaks. Let's play again. In real news, healthcare is a very complicated issue, as Trump recently discovered.
I have to tell you, it's an unbelievably complex subject. Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated.
Yeah, except that pretty much everyone knew that it was complicated. According to the LA Times, California won't be passing a single-payer healthcare system anytime soon. The plan is dead for this year. Why not? It was such a popular plan. Let's play again. In fake news, according to New York Magazine's Daily Intelligencer, California's single-payer bill was halted by Democratic Assembly Speaker. And according to Extra Newsfeed, corporate Democrat kills single-payer bill in California. Whenever I have trouble understanding these complicated issues, I turn to Ankur Patel at the Real Fake Research Desk. Hey, Ankur, why do you think Democratic leaders in California stopped this extremely popular legislation?
Yeah, Jesse, it is complicated, but let me try to break it down a little bit. So this struggle goes way back. In 1944, Franklin Delano Roosevelt spoke about universal health care in his second Bill of Rights. Across the world and throughout history, doctors and healers have had a special place in human society. But health insurance is not health care. Health insurance is a financial instrument that helps you pay for health care. The health insurance industry is full of insurance claims processors, accountants, actuaries, lawyers, lobbyists. Healthcare workers are nurses, doctors, therapists, counselors, and other people who actually help folks when they're sick or injured. For example, my mom is actually a health insurance claims processor. She works from home on the computer paying insurance bills. She never touches a patient, but she put me through college. She's for healthcare, but she's against universal healthcare or a single-payer system because she might lose her job. So the range of thought on healthcare is wide. Some believe it is a privilege for those that can afford it, while the other end of the spectrum believes it is a human right that everyone should have access to. Here in the state of California, State Senate Bill 562, known as the Healthy California Act, would create the Healthy California Program to provide comprehensive, universal, single-payer healthcare coverage and a healthcare cost control system for the benefit of all residents of the state. The initial cost analysis from the state put the cost around $400 billion a year.
I wonder if you'd notice if I ate a sandwich.
And much of the argument against the idea of universal healthcare is based on cost. And yeah, on the surface, that makes sense. But because in a single-payer or universal healthcare system, the government would pay for healthcare when an individual couldn't afford it. But the analysis commissioned by the California Nurses Association took into account that currently Californians pay almost $370 billion a year in health insurance and healthcare costs, and that doesn't cover everyone and doesn't provide the best health outcomes. Additionally, the analysis states that the cost would be closer to $330 billion to cover everyone in the state. So that means we would cover more people with less money in a single-payer universal system. And that's what one analysis shows according to the LA Times. Estimated cost for single-payer healthcare in California reduced by billions in an analysis sponsored by supporters. But right now, the Senate bill is stuck in the state assembly because a politician who says he's for universal healthcare doesn't want to make the numbers work. It might have something to do with the broader politics and money involved. The health insurance industry is sophisticated in its lobbying and knows how to stop legislation that would hurt their profits. Many folks are organizing around this issue as this was one of Bernie Sanders' primary issues in his presidential campaign. But for now, we are going to have to convince our elected officials that healthcare here is a good investment.
Thanks, Ankur.
And it's better than spending tax dollars on weapons to destroy other people's hospitals and healthcares.
Thanks.
No, I mean, we're spending money to destroy healthcare.
Okay. Thanks.
Instead of taking care of people here.
It's too much information. You're hurting my brain.
Preventative healthcare is both cheaper and better.
Ankur.
Better than using the emergency room for everything.
Thank you.
And taxpayers are paying for it anyway.
Thanks. Ankur Patel. And that's the Real Fake News. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe by clicking on the Walking Eye logo below. If you like this show and would like to see more shows like these, please show your support by donating at patreon.com/Jesse Bertel or contact me at jesse@walkingeye.com for direct payment instructions.